counterterrorism in the United States. In January 2017, Donald Trump, President of the United States, appealed Executive Order 13769, also colloquially known as the travel ban. The travel ban persecutes select countries from entering the United States. The most recent iteration of the travel ban targets 8 countries: North Korea, Venezuela, Chad, Iran, Libya, Syria, Somalia, and Yemen, and prevents these countries from obtaining any classification of visa from entering the United States.
During his candidacy, Trump listed immigration, terrorism, and national security as priority issues within the United States. This is why the travel ban was implemented in order to improve national security in the U.S.
The travel ban has previously gone through 2 iterations and is currently on 3rd iteration. The 5th iteration was implemented in January of 2017 and was met with great surprise. As such, it was quickly abandoned for a softened order in March. This 2nd iteration also drew fire from lower courts in late June, thus prompting the White House to enact the 3rd and 3rd iteration of the travel ban in October. Throughout all 3 iterations of the travel ban, it has faced much resistance and backlash. We believe that the best strategy to counteract terrorism in the U.S. is to abolish this travel ban and focus on individuals rather than countries as a whole. We will explain our reasoning throughout this presentation.
The travel ban is ineffective at preventing terrorism in the United States. This is because it presents major problems, such as the potential to be used as pro-Islamic extremist propaganda. Furthermore, the travel ban is seen as racist due to it persecuting majority Muslim countries. Terry Moe, professor of political science at Stanford University, stated there is no evidence that this ban would make the nation safer. Although it is ineffective, it also focuses on the wrong nations, such as nations that haven't committed any acts of terrorism in the United States, and the nationals that have committed acts of terrorism in the United States have not been directly from the travel ban countries. This shows in a statistic by the Cato Institute that if the current travel ban was in place since 9/11, it would not have prevented any single terrorist from entering the United States. Furthermore, no Americans have been killed by any national from the travel ban list in the past 40 years, as you can see on the stats here. Also, in the court of law, the Ninth Circuit Court unanimously ruled that the order offered no evidence that an alien from any countries named in the order has perpetrated a terrorist attack in the United States. The ban also comes with a lot of implications. It provides American citizens with the idea that they are being attacked by majority Muslim countries. Therefore, this could increase Western Islamophobia. This ban could also have the opposite effect, and instead of reducing America's threat of terrorism, it could also influence other countries that had previously had little to no aggression against the West to become extremists due to being placed on this evidently discriminatory list. Though in some nations it's not increasing the amount of terrorists, it is actually affecting the US's chances of recruiting allies against against terrorism. Eli Lake, author at Bloomberg, stated, "The perception that America would close its doors to people who helped us in the past makes it harder to recruit allies in counterterrorism moving forward."
In December, the Ninth Circuit found that the travel ban was a violation of the Nationalization and Immigration Act, which states that only Congress may implement an indefinite ban on issuing visas to foreigners. As such, while Trump maintained temporary blocks on groups of people, he cannot, without the assent of Congress, to supplant a statutory scheme with one stroke of a presidential pen. The travel ban is thus unneeded and unwanted, as Congress has already taken sufficient action to counteract terrorism. The judges of the circuit also noted that when there are serious concerns that the president has not acted within the scope of the law, it is in public interest to curtail unlawful executive action, which in this case means abolishing the travel ban. Furthermore, the travel ban also violates the Constitution. An amicus brief written by attorney Joshua Matz and 50 legal scholars outlines the ban's faults, stating that the travel ban is held back by the long-settled prohibition on governmental acts based on animus towards a religious group, in this case, Muslims. Only 2 of the countries on any iteration of Trump travel ban have not been Muslims. These 2 countries are North Korea and Venezuela, both of which are relevant. Last year, the number of people who immigrated from North Korea to the US numbered under 100. Furthermore, the travel ban on Venezuela only affects its officials, not its citizens. Due to the fact that almost every country on Trump travel ban has been primarily Muslim, it is evidently unconstitutional due to its violation of the First and 14th Amendments. It violates the First Amendment because it discriminates against a religious group, and it violates the 14th Amendment because it denies equal rights for Muslims, and as such is unconstitutional and in violation of statutory law.
The ban will always be ineffective due to its innate fallacies. The major fallacy of the ban is that its existence is based on Trump's reasoning. The United States government lacks sufficient information to assess the risks foreign nationals pose to the nation. However, this is inherently flawed. That justification means that the U.S. needs info from the banned countries for their visitors. However, according to the 8 U.S. Section 1361, the United States does not need info to grant visas. The section states that the burden of proof is based on the individuals applying for the visa, meaning that if the applicant cannot prove their eligibility, visa educators can simply deny them and move on. Furthermore, the visa process is very secure. According to David Beer, an immigration policy analyst, only 35 terrorists have legally entered the U.S. since 9/11. Of those, only 17 were radicalized. This shows the effectiveness of the visa process already present within the U.S., which is already secure in place of the redundant travel ban. Furthermore, the travel ban targets people from certain nationalities and connects their nationality to the government. As such, innocent individuals with no connection to their government are unnecessarily punished. Syrians and Iranians, for example, can be born abroad and live outside their countries their whole lives, yet maintain their nationality. It's incorrect to assume any connection between a people and its government. This negatively harms the U.S. in terms of its relationship with its citizens and its access to specialists outside borders.
As seen, the travel ban is ineffective at both counteracting terrorism and benefiting America in any way, shape, or form. As such, we've come up with 2 alternative solutions to replace the travel ban. A first solution is increasing screening for refugees. According to the Case Institute, a sizable amount of terrorists come to the U.S. not through the immigration system, but as refugees.
This solution provides better security, as the travel ban only stops legal terrorists coming in. This screening will help stop terrorists coming in as refugees.
Although increased screening does come with its benefits, it also comes with limitations, which keeps it back from being our main solution. It perpetuates the notion that all refugees are terrorists. There is already a problem in America at the moment with the discrimination against refugees, and this would only worsen the fact. It also comes with extra time and effort, and this could thus inconveniencing innocent refugees. Our final solution and our solution of choice is to abolish the ban completely. We believe that the current policies in place are more than sufficient at preventing terrorism and increasing the United States' safety. To be specific, the ban this would focus on the individual and not the country as a whole, and thus making less generalizations and denying dangerous individuals on a person-by-person basis.
The current policies employed by Congress do not discriminate against innocent individuals who can prove that they are eligible for a visa. However, it still keeps out terrorists who cannot prove that they are eligible for a visa. Moreover, it is more compliant with U.S. law, as the previous policies put in place prior to the travel ban were proven to be constitutional and thus legal.
The only problem with this solution is that it will not stop terrorists coming in as refugees. However, this is already a problem with the current travel ban. Plus, this is why we believe removing the travel ban entirely is the most effective solution due to its prior success, lack of limitations, and increased benefits.
I think that works out.
Okay. All right, clap for your ears. Woo. Okay. So, not quite done yet, guys. I have to ask you some questions. Okay. Let me just get the list for reference. So Phillip, can you describe how your presentation perhaps went through an evolution based on your team's discussions and cooperation?
Well, at first, for teams, okay, so our presentation originally,
Or your argument?
we wanted to talk a lot about how, originally our argument was that it was the basic premise of what we have now. It was about what was the travel ban, the problems with it, the constitutional issues, and then we wanted to talk about alternative solutions. However, as we were figuring out the presentation, we decided that eventually we wanted to talk about some of the issues like why because at the end we were planning to talk about why we didn't want the travel ban. And so instead of deciding to talk about a bunch of alternative solutions to replace it, we decided to make a final solution, talking about why we wanted it gone completely. So we realized we needed an argument as to why what we had was already effective enough in place of the travel ban. So we readjusted our format in order to do that, which is why we removed some of the alternative solutions, gave up only two solutions, an alternative solution, and then a solution which was our choice to remove the travel ban. And then we put in an argument saying why the visa process was already an effective solution.
Okay. All right, great. Zack, of the other two reports in your group, which one impacted your thinking the most?
I would say probably Hunter's. Hunter's paper was very well written, say for a few grammar.
That's not going to impact your thinking.
But one argument of his, which I found very interesting, was in his third body paragraph, he specifically mentioned that the travel ban could influence Western Islamophobia, which was a very valid point which I hadn't found elsewhere, and as such I found it very interesting. After doing some research for myself, I realized, wow, this is a very, very strong and valid point, and we should probably put it in a presentation, which we did.
Okay, great, thanks. Hunter, after doing the research, did the team identify any gaps that you wish, if you had more time, the team would choose to fill?
I definitely think that a major gap that we couldn't find anywhere was like people agreeing with the travel ban. We found a lot of information of people saying why it's wrong, it's unconstitutional, it's this and it's that, but all three of us in our papers, we kind of really had to find a way to work around it without having a one-sided argument, because there was just such little information on people stating whether the travel ban, like why it was good and how it helped. Because it didn't, so from our perspective, or what we found, it didn't look like it was helping. And we searched places like as right-wing as they could go, and we just still couldn't find it. So I think that's the only thing that if we could have found it, I would have liked to add in as a bit of a counter argument.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.